Yes, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Huddle, Spiritual Matters Thursdays. I'm your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando, fresh off of birthday Chanel. Yesterday was my birthday, and I flew over to New Orleans, one of my favorite cities in the whole wide world. The sun is beaming from my suite in my hotel room, and I'm here for the rest of the week. So I'm excited to be able to share this new year energy with you because we're about to get into the spring equinox as well, coming up between today and tomorrow. Thank you, Ingrid. And as many of you know, with the weather warming up and with the sun shining brighter, it starts to feel new, right? Flowers blooming, trees getting greener, etc. Starts to feel like new life. And with that energy of new life, of spring, of blooming, and things starting to come up on the surface, right? In the wintertime, things were in the soil, being tilled, being prepared, etc. Now in the spring, things starts to bloom. And those things that start to bloom have been there for quite some time, which is why it's so important to till the soil and to get rid of the weeds, et cetera, so that what comes up is what you want to come up and not the stuff that you forgot that you had in there. So that is why today's topic is so important. What if God was one of us? Because I think that in the small moments, in the anonymous moments, in the silent, alone moments, sometimes we forget that wherever you are, God is, as is said in many New Thought churches. Wherever you are, God is, because you are there. And so the conversation of what if God was one of us isn't so much a what if, but how do you interact with God when you're in front of God in your day-to-day life? Let me give you some examples. God is in front of you when you're preparing breakfast for yourself. Are you doing breakfast like an afterthought, or are you doing breakfast like you're preparing it for an esteemed guest? God is in front of you. God is with you when you are taking a shower, getting dressed, making your bed, getting in the car, throwing your stuff in the car so you can go to your next meeting. So, you know what I mean? Like, think of the celebrity or the well-renowned person that is your biggest crush. Some people are Beyonce. Some people, for me, it's Prince. I mean, beyond the fact that Prince is 10 years gone, but if I wasn't trusted with, like, you are the one that's going to go get Prince from the airport and host him in your place, oh my God, do you know how much cleaning I'll be doing and preparing and so forth, right? And so when you treat people and yourself like you are your most esteemed guest, and you start to, as the young ones call it now with the TikTok culture, romanticizing your life, you begin to recognize the holiness in each moment, no matter how fleeting that moment might be, and no matter how inconsequential it might be. In fact, when we treat inconsequential moments as though they are holy, as though it is a sacred encounter, we begin to collect a series of holy, sacred moments that create your life. Because haven't you ever been in a situation where the day just kind of like gets away from you and you're in your bathroom or in your bed at the end of the day and you're like, what did I even do today? Like, what actually happened? It was just such a blur. And when I start treating each moment like, with that level of anticipation, with that level of excitement, with that level of like little girl energy, or with that level of um, awe, yeah, then then life starts to get really holy, interesting, sacred. It's moment by moment noticing or remembering. The other thing that I want to say about that, so that's the first point, is about like you are and your life is a series of sacred, holy moments. And if you treat the people that you meet and yourself and each moment as though you are in the middle of a sacred memory, um, we'd have different reverence, even for the mundane things that we do on a day-to-day life, like making bed or breakfast for the kids or whatever the case may be. The second point is that we would approach tragedy, inconveniences, delays, denials, also with a certain level of grace. Not that it's less inconvenient because you have grace, not that it's less painful because you have unconditional love. But when you know that you are senior to your circumstances, when you know that you are bigger than whatever you're going through, when you know that, the difference between belief and knowing, right? I believe this hotel room, this, ceiling is not going to cave in, right? I have a huge belief in that because I have evidence of being in previous Marriott properties and so forth, right? Oh no. However, I know that I'm sitting on my bed in my hotel suite, right? I know that, right? So if you were to come to me and say, no, 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 you're sitting by the pool, I'd be like, okay, delusional. Patience with you, as opposed to trying to fight it or argue it, right? And so it's the same kind of certainty that you have when life throws you inconveniences or delays or even tragedy, that it's like, I already know that everything always works out for me and all is well. So I just have to walk through this, as painful as it is, as inconvenient as it might be, as testing of my mettle as it might be. I already know that. So that's part of the grace as well. So I would love to give you some tools, and then also to talk with you and get some understanding from you about how you incorporate holiness and sacred moments in your day-to-day life. Or if not already, then how you might get some ideas from today's episode on what you want to incorporate. So one of the things, let me give you three tools, and then we'll talk about how you already do it or how you want to do it from now on. One of the tools that I practice, and this is particularly helpful to me when I am triggered or challenged by somebody. Say I don't like them, say their personality grates on my every nerve. I know you holy people, you don't interact with people like this. But I do. I'm still a work in progress. There are some people that grate on my nerves. There are some people that I'm not particularly fond of. Like I'll let you breathe my rarefied air when we're together in the same room, but I don't like you and I don't think I ever will. And I'm honest with myself about that, right? So when that happens, I remember there were many times in my life when I was an insufferable fool, when I was an inveterate asshole, when I was the one that had to somebody had to be patient with. And what would I have wanted somebody to treat me like when I was in those moments? Hell, I was in that moment just this morning when I woke up. That's another sermon for another Sunday. So how would I have wanted somebody to treat me if they were like that resistant to me? Especially if I didn't know that they were that resistant to me. I would want some grace. I would want you to be at least charge neutral. I would want you to not make your triggers and preferences and boundaries and needs my problem. I'm just living in my life. You're the one that has to handle that. Right? So that's the grace that I give other people because that's what I would want if I were on the receiving end of that level of judgment or vitriol or resistance or whatever the case may be. So that's the first one, putting myself in somebody else's shoes. The second one is getting in reality about what's actually happening. Like to the visible, to the naked eye, what's actually happening. What is actually happening, let me give you an example. In this earlier example, what is actually happening is that somebody, a human being is in front of me, and I have to have some kind of interaction with that person, tell them something, hear something from them, have them do something. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some kind of word or deed that has to be exchanged in order for this moment to be over. That's all that's happening. Everything else, that I'm nervous, that I'm mad, that I'm resistant, that I'm blah, 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 all that exists in my own head. That's not what's actually happening. And when you have one thought, you could have another. The reality of it is that when I'm having the thought, I don't like this person, I wish this person would get out of my face, blah, 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 I can say to myself, I'm having the thought that I don't like this person, I wish this person would get out of my head. But I'm having that thought, I could have another thought, right? I don't have to enslave myself to my thoughts and my feelings. That's the second thing, getting reality about it. What's actually happening? Because a lot of times we interact with reality as though reality is our interpretations and our interpretations are reality. That's not true. You have to know the difference. Right? And then the third tool that I'm going to give you is not just the first one about giving grace to other people, not just about getting in reality, meet the moment for what the moment is, but then also give grace to yourself. I wasn't always this smooth, you people. I wasn't always this wise. You know what I mean? I was somebody's divine assignment. I still am in many ways. I'm a 1099, independent consultant sent by spirit to evolve you. So you got to give grace to yourself. Like, you're a piece of work. You know that. Stop lying. You know you're a piece of work. So, give grace to yourself that it's like you're working through some lessons. You're working through practicing a muscle of, maybe you're practicing the muscle of patience. Maybe you're practicing the muscle of diplomacy, right? Tact when you say certain things, especially all of you, my beloved fire sign people. This is the incarnation where you work it out with diplomacy and tact. So grace for another, reality in the moment, and grace for yourself. And when you do that, when you interact with another and with yourself and with the moment from grace, guess what? The very thing that you wanted for this thing to be over, for this moment to be over, for the hardness or the discomfort or the difficulty to be over, it actually goes by faster. And it reminds me of something that my daughter said when she was about 3 years old. You guys have heard the story. If you have been here for any amount of time in Spiritual Matters Thursdays, and you've heard the story before. When I was in the middle of going through cancer, it was a very stressful time. I mean, there have been other stressful times, but none as stressful as that. And there was a moment, like a dark night of the soul, when I was just crying alone and by the dining room table. And my daughter comes out of her bedroom because she hears me crying, and she sits on my lap and she hugs me. She puts her head on my shoulder. She's like, "Why are you crying, mommy?" And I'm like, "Oh, just stuff on my mind, stuff I have to figure out, da 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 da. Nothing you have to concern yourself with, honey." And then she starts crying. And I'm like, "Why are you crying?" "I know why I'm crying. Why are you crying?" She's like, "Mama, when we cry together, it goes by faster." So when you give grace to another and grace to yourself, the moment of resistance, the moment of discomfort, the moment of pain, the moment of challenge, the moment of despair even, goes by faster. So I would love to hear from you. In what ways do you meet God in everyday moments? And in what ways are you now going to bring that presence to your everyday moments? Who wants to go first? Chase says in the comments, those few seconds before reaction are golden. Yes. Pause before receiving, pause before responding. Oh, how the fire needs that air. Aries season is here. Thank you for these gems. They make such a difference. I love that story with your daughter. Thank you. Rashida, happy birthday, Sister Empress. Hey now. Yes. Okay, so come on, talk to me. How are you going to be bringing in that moment of, meeting God in the everyday moments? How do you already do that? Or how are you going to do that now that you have some awareness of it or a deeper awareness of it from today?
Well, I'll chime in.
Yes, come on, Naomi.
You know what's interesting about what you've been talking about is I have been rereading Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art. Have you ever read it?
Yes, it's an amazing book.
It's a reread. And he says that resistance is like the devil. And I've been really thinking a lot about that lately. Like I need like so many things to be in place to get my creative flow. And if they're not all there, I think I can't do it. And I resist the work that has to be done. And I have to be creative to continue the work that I do. So when you talked about resistance, that was very, very helpful to me.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, what a great reminder. Resistance is like the devil. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. I just had this thought, Tara, and tell me if you resonate with this. Um, my experience of my own resistance, particularly with creative work, it's almost like I'm trying to appease the colicky baby inside of me before I'm able to do the rest of the work that I'm supposed to do. And what strikes me is that I grew up in a generation, and I grew up in a household where my parents were like, "Let the baby cry herself to sleep." That's how she learns to sleep through the night. And growing up, that was just normal. But now that myself and my sister were, it's now our time to be parents. We were like, no, we're not going to let the child cry through the night. What is the abuse is going on? I'm going to pick up my baby. There's no such thing as spoiling a baby, until they can start like talking and advocating for their own needs. And since I don't know what they need, I'm just going to be there for whatever they need. Right. And so it was okay to like be up all night with the baby because he was colicky and whatever. And now they're just so, I can see it in my nephews. They're so self-assured. My own children, they're so self-assured. And it was like because we handled the colicky baby when it was a colicky baby. Now
Yes,
we are
great
fully
example.
adults and we never handled the colicky baby. So now we have to do all these things in order to like be okay because we didn't get the you're okay no matter what when we were 6 months old, for example, right?
Yeah.
And so that's part of having grace for myself too, that it's like, okay, hold on. Let me do some EFT because the colicky baby is back,
Yeah,
right? And then it's
I'll
like,
remember that. That definitely resonates with me. I think I have to have exercise, meditation, the right amount of coffee, hydrated, not bloated, all the things.
not bloated.
Then I
That's a
can get to
requirement
work.
too. Lord have mercy. Good luck.
Yeah.
Great. That's a great example. Yes. Thank you, Tara. That was awesome. That was awesome. Who else has something? Hmm. Yes, no? Kurt, you always throw me for a loop because I see your video and I see you laughing and reacting to the things you're saying or whatever, but you're not coming off mute. So I'm like, are we talking? Are we in relationship? What's happening here? Hey, you got something to say? What's up?
Well, thanks for calling on me. So in terms of moments, I mean, I'm hearing more of like in our own space and in what we're doing, but you kind of talked about people that are around you that you say that you're never gonna like them and whatever. You get me thinking that for me, I've told a lot of people that my flair is that each and every person on the planet was born into this world perfectly, and then the world happens, to that baby. So to me, I feel that, at whatever point in a person's journey that we kind of have concerns, or we kind of reject a person, or we see a negativity or something, for me, it's a manifestation of, how the world works. The idea of it takes a community to raise a child. So every person around a baby, and all of us around each other, we leave our imprint, on each other. And so the people business is a concoction of all of these variables and variations. And, there's the idea that we can help people be the best version of themselves. So
Yeah.
when we talk about our Heavenly Father, or our source, or, every person has that exchange that fuels the experience that we then give each other, or we witness in each other. And there's the idea of, our bodies are our temple, and, the work of supernatural in the universe can pour through us. And, it's all driven by our own capacity to receive that and work with it. Like if we're talking about meditation or prayer. Um, so to me, with every moment, we have a choice on, how we utilize that gift of another person's presence, and in that, the presence of higher power, and that we do that together. We tap, like coming here, some of us come from the Motivation Readers Mastermind Network, and the writings of Napoleon Hill, and the mastermind concept, and the Ethernet, and, all of that part of life. And, looking at that, we're part of one body on the planet, 8 billion people on the planet, an evolution of 175 billion people, that is this masterful creation in symbiosis with nature and the planet and all of our, precious resources and
Mhm.
things like this. So to me, that's the way I stand. Like, when you talk about how great it is to go out barefoot in the lawn, and, feel the grounding, and, that we're piles of energy, you know, that Ethernet thing, and we are all connected. I look at it that we came from one, and then there was two, and then three, and, so we have this thing where 175 billion people got to enjoy the planet through all of time. And, we're part of that process, and many people say that we can do now what can make sense for people on the planet 7 generations from now, and things like that.
Yeah, good
So
stuff.
yeah, so to me, I look at the unlimited potential with each and every moment, and that it's way beyond me. I even said that to a couple people on a three-way call a couple days ago. I got a compliment for how I responded to the challenges we were working through, and I'm like, well, to me, what moves me, this is for children and veterans and a lot of people out there that are not on this call. That's what moves me.
Bigger than the moment. Yes.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you, Chris. See, I knew it. I knew you had some juice in there. I knew it. always, you always look, when I see your video, it always looks like you're sitting on a treasure. I'm glad that you shared some of that treasure with us today. So thank you.
You
Who
bet.
else has something? Ingrid, are you saying you love it, or are you saying that you got something to say? You're muted, dear.
I'm saying that I love Kurt's response, but I keep pondering on the question, which is how do we recognize God in our mundane moments? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Well, like I'm looking at my plants right here, and I touch the leaves and I say thank you, because it's giving me oxygen,
Yes.
because God made it so.
Hmm.
I have a thyme tree and a basil tree and I pick a leaf, I say thank you, because he's providing that for me, right? So every time I pick a leaf, I make sure I say thank you to use it.
Hmm.
I'll be driving, and sometimes, like when I'll be coming home, used to be coming home late at night on the Grand Central or on the Jackie here in New York, which is a crazy street. Sometimes I could feel the ear because the car missed me by this eighth of an inch. And I'd be like, thank you, Lord, you did that. And just seeing the sun is like knowing that he created this space, and the rising of the sun, the shining of the moon, and everything in between. And those moments with people that your blood just don't take that well. Some lately, of late, past year, I try to catch myself. I'll be like, oh, then I'm like, you know what, Ingrid, give some grace. Like just that, just try to like, and just like, okay, what do you need? And because sometimes it have this one lady, she comes and it's all about her, and she only sees you when she needs something. But then I make sure to say, oh, you see me now, and then respond. So I'm just pondering on the question and saying, yes, God is in every moment and is in us. And that's why even when I make my meals, my sister laugh at me because I eat out of my china and I drink out of my, good quote unquote glassware and drink my water sometimes out of my STEM glasses. She's like, you be bugging. I'm like, no, I'm not. I bought it to be used. I'm not buying to be used for when guests come, because they're not more important than me. I bought it for me, right? So I'm worthy because the God in me is worthy. So things like that. When I set my plate, I don't just put the food on there. I design it to present it to myself in a special way because I am worthy. That's the God in me. It's like preparing the plate for Prince, right? You won't just throw it together. You put, like, everything is decorated nicely. The beautiful colors are coming through. And even when I wash the food and I am connecting with the food, is because the God in me is there connecting with what God provided, the earth, and it's like a meditative state, and feeling the food, feeling the greens, the beans, the sea moss, whatever, just feeling the texture of it. And just even in that moment, sometimes I'd be like, thank you. Everything is being provided for me. So that's
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you for sharing. That was beautiful. Thank you for that. Good stuff. All right, everybody. Oh, Molly has something. Yes, Molly. Molly and Sorrel. Oh, of course, at the last minute. Yes. Come on in, Molly.
Well, y'all know about my traumatic brain injury from a car wreck, right? Okay. Well, I worked really hard to stand and walk. And last April, I fell and hit my head on a flower pot. And I had to relearn how to do it again. And it took me like 5 attempts every time I go to stand. I was kind of like, God, where are you? This isn't fair. And then when I did stand, I was like, okay, you were there. But then I got a UTI, and about 3 months ago, and it affects me so strangely, but I had to relearn how to stand again. I was like, I don't know what to think.
You saying you don't know what to think about the fact that this keeps coming up, or that?
That I keep losing the ability to stand and walk. It's like, it's not fair. Um, I've been through a lot, and it just, like, that's the one thing that I prided myself on, is being able to walk. But I don't know what to think.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. Yeah, this is what a great point. There are some lessons just being,
You're breaking up. You're breaking up a bit, Monikah.
self-sufficient in that way. Or oh, okay. Well, I'll just keep talking to see. You know, there's a refining that happens in those repeatable moments. There's a there's a nuance that you now are aware of that perhaps wasn't available the first or the 10th time that you had to learn that lesson. And so that's exactly where I was going, Tara, where it's like, I wonder if every time you have to learn to walk again, this is what Tara says in the chat. I wonder if every time you have to learn to walk again, you're learning to stand taller and stronger, right? And elegantly and carefully. You know what I mean? Like there's some nuances about the ways in which we show up in each moment that it's like, okay, this time I'm going to add this. And it reminds me of like, I don't know if you've ever been in a theater production or a high school play or whatever, where, you know, the director says cut and then you have to do the scene again, or you have to say the line again, but this time do it with this, but this time do this differently, etc. And so it's an opportunity for us to refine who we say that we are in the world and to act from that identity. And I would love for you to come back to the Course in Miracles on Mondays so that we can delve a little bit more deeply into that. Because it's like, oh, this sounds like a juicy conversation for Course in Miracles. Yeah. Hopefully that gives you something to chew on. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Molly, for that. Rashida, quickly, because we're over time. Yes. Tell me. You're muted.
Grand Rising.
Hi.
Thank you
Hi.
so much for the topic this morning, and happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
When you started the conversation this morning, it took me back many years back because and what I say that is because in every year that I have to start my Lent season or my 40 days, it's a journey, but it's a journey with a lot of gratitude. Why with a lot of gratitude is because in the outcome of the 40 days later on, it's the enrichment of the mindset, the way I've perceived what I get out of 40 days of fasting, and the blessing and the gratitude that I connect with my ancestors, and I connect with myself, and I connect with that God that I awaken. So this conversation, it's way enrichment, and especially now that I heard Molly saying that she just keep getting up, and she just keep getting up, it's really hit me. Why? Is because that's what we have to do. Just keep getting up. No matter how much time we fall, we just have to keep getting up and be mindful of that gratitude and that spirituality that keep us going. Thank you so much, thank you so much, Monikah. And I'm telling you, enjoy your birthday. And tomorrow is the first day of spring, so let's spring up. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for that beautiful contribution. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. Remember to love generously, to laugh a lot. I know I've been certainly giggling up a storm this birthday week. Make sure that you get yourself at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Your body needs that moment of restoring and rejuvenation in order to be ready for the day. Stress less, eat more plant-based food, exercise. Remember that twerking is a spiritual practice. It raises your kundalini. Don't forget that. And of course, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Always audit your assumptions. Thank you so much, everybody. See you next time.
Beautiful as always. Thank you so much.